Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Rob Braiman of Cogent Analytics. Rob, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Gresh, thank you for having me today.
No problem. Super excited to have you on. And what I wanted to do was just read a little bit more about Rob so you can hear about all the awesome things that he's doing. And Rob is the CEO and managing member of Cogent Analytics, a business management consulting firm. Since 2005, he has personally engaged with over 1,800 small to medium-sized businesses. And an entrepreneur himself, he knows firsthand the challenges of the journey. And his passion is to help others achieve success and long-term profitability that also results in enhancing quality of life. A business analyst by trade, he founded Cogent Analytics in 2014 to provide solutions for small business owners. In 5 years, he has helped many small businesses achieve their goals, and in the process has grown Cogent Analytics from 6 people to over 120, and has ranked on the Inc. 500 and Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in the country 2 years in a row, and is on deck for the third. Rob, are you ready to speak to the I Am CEO community?
Absolutely, Gresh. And again, thanks for having me. I was listening to you read my bio, and it's pretty humbling, first and foremost. I probably have to correct. I personally represented somewhere between, and I lost count on the number, it's between 1,500 and 1,800 clients that I personally visited with, going back to 2002-3, somewhere in there.
Wow.
And that was prior to, and I don't add Cogent Analytics clients that we currently have represented over the last 5 years to that number. So I come from personal experience in representing small and mid-sized businesses, and that was really the energy that caused me to want to start Cogent Analytics as its own entity.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I mean, that's a perfect segue, because I want to hear a little bit more on, like, what was the thing that got you going? What was the thing that got you started? Like, what did you see or not see that said, hey, I want to actually start this business?
Apologize for my ifs and uhs and thus. Small business.
Mine too. Please apologize for mine too.
The more casual I get with you, Gresh, the more comfortable I will start saying if, does, and ums. So I apologize for that. But Cogent Analytics its birth was really from passion. I had worked for another firm for 10 and a half, 11 years. And, I try to explain to people that if you're going to be part of the small business entrepreneur community, it has to be more than about the billable hour. And I felt like the firm that I worked for really drove the build hour more than they drove the result. And although I spent many years there fundamentally doing it aligned with my own belief system, I was never going to be able to change that institution from within. So I always tell the story. I quit twice. The first time was in 2010, and they were able to bring me back, and I left finally in 2013 under the understanding that I could never, if they were not going to change their approach to market, I couldn't participate there. Hence the birth of Cogent Analytics. Now our firm is, I have a very personal code. It's honor, courage, wisdom, faith, perseverance, and loyalty. And it's the tenets of strength, power, and character. And for anything I do in my life, whether it's raising my kids or working with a client or running this firm on behalf of my employees, those tenets of strength, power, and character mean everything in the world to me. And I try to guide and lead based on those core values. And that, I think, is what drives our company the way it does today. We've been very successful. I always say that the Cogent Analytics in today's version is not because Rob Braiman is some savant. It's because others have taken that vision, made it their own, and fundamentally made it better. So, I think the greatness of this organization, the successes that we've enjoyed, is really through the efforts of people who have come to make this family their own. And I think our clients are positively affected by that energy and that value system and that belief that we start with every day, which is their success.
Nice. And I absolutely love that. And it kind of makes sense because a lot of times I've always felt like the most successful businesses, and that is not necessarily from a revenue generating standpoint, have a really strong mission. And sounds like those core values that you have, that you live your life through, you brought into your business, and then it's allowed, the team members and everybody to be successful as well.
Absolutely. And the net beneficiary, I think, the better we get at building this, we like to say this is a family that acts like a business from time to time.
Hmm.
Our organic growth has because good people have embraced that value structure.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, I think the greatest impact is to the clients that we represent. So hopefully that gives you a little insight into Rob Braiman, Cogent Analytics, and the respective team that makes this place so awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And the family that acts like a business from time to time. I absolutely love that. And I wanted to drill down a little bit deeper and hear, what kind of services, what things are you doing to kind of help support these clients that you're working with?
So we have developed, and this is something that I wrote on a whiteboard probably 10 or 15 years ago, but it is the Cogent Profit Platform. And, if I would direct your listeners to our website, the Profit Platform is taking really complex business problems and challenges and distilled it down into the 4 pillars of business, which really is business development. That is how we go to market, how we sell our goods, how we represent the brand that we're building. Business development is both sales and marketing. It's how we drive revenue. Organizational engineering, we put a block out there and we just wrote people on it, because when you use words like organizational engineering, it drives a deeper conversation. Process engineering, really we labeled as operations. That's how we perform what we do every day as business owners. And then lastly, KPIs, or measurement, is what we called that block, which is key performance indicators, both operational and financial. So it incorporates your financial statements, your balance sheet, your cash flow, how your business is performing relative to wealth creation, which is the spirit of every business owner, right? They didn't go in it to practice. Most business owners started their business because they were technicians and wanted to build a better mousetrap.
Mm-hmm.
And we ultimately distill their challenges down into 4 key areas that both contribute and detract from profitability when not done so well. So we took a complex issues of business, we distilled them down into the Profit Platform, and really from the very beginning conversation we have with our clients in inside sales to the deliverable we implement and make durable on behalf of our clients is predicated on the use of that Profit Platform. Every business has its problem, challenges, and concerns, but you would find that every listener today, if they're a business owner, those problems and challenges, concerns resides in those 4 blocks. And they would all tell you the story of profitability to its planned maximum or minimum mandatory standard, or they will tell you how they have not hit that number or they're underperforming to profitability. And I would challenge everybody, much like a SWOT analysis, break your business down into those 4 pillars and ask yourself, if your profit is not where it's supposed to be, look for efficiencies in your organization and your process. How do you measure behaviors and performance? How are you driving and pricing the market? How are you developing that brand you call your own? So, and there's one thing they won't see on the website, which is the big circle that goes around it, and that's for another discussion, Dresh. It really is the element of strategic planning and the exercise that we take our clients through to be able to engineer a profitable, cash prudent business that it gives security not just to them and their family, but to the employees and their families, which is really why I think most presidents in owning a business, you'll find it's a very selfless behavior. Most presidents really run their business and their people become part of that long-term family. It's a very personal connection for small business owners to their people, and not just their people, but their people and their families. So if that gives you a much clearer understanding of the theory of the Cogent Analytics Profit Platform and what we're trying to accomplish on behalf of our clients, I think that's helpful.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful. And I think that it helps out, any entrepreneur and business owner, because I think sometimes you can become so overwhelmed. But to me, it kind of kind of synthesizes things down to the overall kind of goal of business, which is to generate that profit. But it talks about each of the different aspects, those 4 pillars that you talked about, where if there is the lack of, or maybe not to the goal that we want to have of that profit, we can look and see like how each of those things are kind of playing in, in order to increase that, or potentially could detract from that. So I love that you broke that down. And is that what you would consider like your secret sauce, or what you feel kind of distinguishes you or your organization?
I've never thought that there was a secret sauce, but sure, I will say yes, that is Cogent Analytics' secret sauce. But, if I were to take it one step distilled farther down from there, every business has to generate a revenue. Every business has to hire good people. Every business has to get those people to follow a process. And there must be a measurement of performance in place, or you cannot manage it. So if you don't have measurements in place, financial or operational, you're never going to get a group of people to embrace the process to success. And there's no way you could sell a profitable product without the other 3 existing. So you can see that it's more of a pie than a destination. All things in the organization must exist to their fullest for a successful business to occur. Now, I say successful business because that measurement of successful business is a predetermined net profitability, a predetermined cash flow. We're able to service our debt. We're able to pay our taxable obligations. We're able to service our growth, and then be able to take a pre-planned distribution. So that's the theory of long-term cash management that most people that are listening to your show today, that are entrepreneurs, know that the last person to get paid in that business is always going to be the entrepreneur themselves. Justifiably so. You take all of the risk and are most often the last to get paid. But that was the spirit of why you said you wanted to start a business in the begin with. Now, the key is, do you follow the core principles of business that give you a fighting chance to be successful?
Yeah. And I think it's also important to kind of understand what those core principles are, because I think sometimes, and I know like even the book, like the Emyth kind of touched a little bit upon this, that sometimes when you start a business, you think that you started a business, this is how the business is, but sometimes you don't realize they have those core 4 principles that you kind of touched on.
Yep. The pillars.
The pillars. Absolutely.
Most of our clients, small, medium, or large, all started the business with a story. And that story said, I'm good at what I do. I think I can make what I do better in the marketplace, and people open a business.
Right.
And from that first employee to the 100th employee, all of the pains of growth that exist and all the lessons learned are usually not from a textbook, not because they went to college, not because they listened to an online webinar, but the school of hard knocks. Knowing that taxes are 941s are due, and knowing that they've got to pay their quarterly obligation, and how to secure debt. That's not what people go into business. It's the lessons they always learn.
Right.
People go into business to do their trade. And then the life called business tends to impose it upon the owner. I like to give people the tools in their hands before they run into walls. I just think if you think about a steering wheel on a car, far better off to have the steering wheel than just to bounce back and forth between the guardrails.
Yeah, that's not quite as much fun. Unless you're doing bumper cars, of course.
Bumper cars are fun.
Bumper cars are fun. But awesome. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. And this might be an app, a book, or a habit that you guys have, but something that makes you more effective and efficient.
So we do continuing education internally. It's an effort that every one of our directors, every one of our department heads, every intermediate manager, one of the things that I think is our secret sauce, so to speak, you asked that question before, is we challenge the group to come up with continuing education or learning as it directly relates to the people in their subordinate.
Nice.
So they read the initiative, because I don't believe we needed to cast the die. I think there are a lot of really smart people in this world that offer good, solid perspective to the practice called business. And I can think of a lot of great books out there. Dr. Nangar did one about leadership. There is the Emyth, obviously, that you referred to. There are different selling systems that are available in the marketplace instead of seat of the pants selling. There are selling systems that I would recommend to any business owner to adopt a sales system. And I'm not talking about a CRM. I'm talking about a philosophical approach to sales that can be managed. Good, solid organizational practices. And I hope I'm not giving you a 400-word answer to a 3-word question. But continuing education in every organization, getting people involved in the improvement. That's what most employees want. They don't want to come to a place of work where their talent and their creativity and their ability to think out of the box or be challenged. People don't want to be quashed. People want to be lifted up. And I've got a phrase around here for all of our leadership team and our consultants. It basically is a simple principle. It says, raise others up and you will rise. Mm-hmm. And in that principle, it basically says it's our governance as leaders to be able to teach people and make them better. And if we make our subordinates better, we make those intermediate managers better, we make our clients better, then by virtue of that, it makes us better and stronger as a team. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, no, it's definitely helpful. And I think it's so important that the continuing education never really ends as well. So you're always trying to learn more and more and more. So I appreciate you for sharing those books and that information with us. And also the quote as well, too, because I'm a big believer in energy. And if you put out that energy, then it comes back, whether it be, your clients or employees or whatever, whoever's on your team. It's important to kind of put that out because not only does it help support them, it also helps support you as well. So I appreciate you for sharing that with us. And now I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO nugget. And this is a word of wisdom or piece of advice. Or if you can hop into a time machine, what would you tell your younger business self?
Sorry for the long exasperated sigh. I've thought about this question since you asked the first time. You sent me over the narrative, and I've thought, what was the seminal moment? And I think the one common thread that I have been able to pull out of all of my life experience, whether building companies of my own, I think in my bio, this is my 4th company I've built, or representing others to the point of successful business, I keep coming back to building the right team around yourself. Most often, and I'll speak about myself, throughout my career, I've hired people. If I have Achilles heel, I love everybody. I think that, people, even in their oddities, are great. So I like human nature. I have probably tried to fix people over the years that were unfixable. I've probably tried to put people in positions that they were not prepared for. I've probably tried to, in the name of my favorite business drug, hopium, tried to hope that somebody was going to be improved. And I think the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that if you have the right candidate, that right candidate embraces the vision of where they work, right? And as I said earlier, make that vision better. So high-performing, organically grown company is generated because we don't accept mediocrity as a standard. Because if you bring a mediocre person into your organization, high-performing people will perform down to that level as opposed to inspiring people to greatness. So always be willing as a business owner to reevaluate your organization. Usually every 3 to 6 months, you should be taking a long, hard look at, are you going in the right direction? Do you have the right people to support it? And how do you measure your people? But more importantly, how do they embrace that measurement process to drive their own behavior, their own performance, and be able to give you as the CEO counsel on how you could improve a system, process, or other people participating in the role? That is a common theme going all the way back to my first equity. I think I was 26 or 27 years old. I had subordinated equity. That means I was the junior partner as opposed to the senior partner. I think that's true. I think every great organization, the older I get, the more I am firm in that being a rock in my way of thinking. And that's an organization, regardless of process, business development, or measurement. If you don't have people to make that organization better, to support your overall vision, to be able to grow the marketplace and to be able to represent people you represent, second to none. And I don't care if you sell widgets or you do what I do in representation of others, having that group of people or individuals who drive with you every day. You're not having to always figure out where your team went. They're out in front and they're driving the ball. Then you become a coach instead of a doer, right? You know, and there's a simple metaphor that says if you're the quarterback of the team and you're the receiver and you're the running back and you're the left tackle, the likelihood of you scoring a first down is pretty slim, right? But if you're a coach on the sideline and you're calling the plays and you're getting great people to do great things, maybe, just maybe, you get to be Bill Belichick one day.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. And Bill knows a thing or two about winning. And I think that's when a lot of people are starting a business in order to win and be successful, and however they define that. But yes, in order to tap into the inner Bill Belichick, the inner hoodie, so to speak. So
I have to be honest, I'm not a big fan, but since he is the greatest coach, I mean, he's proven that. I'm an old Colts fan, so we'll have to do this little segment over. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
Let me do that answer for you again, because you'll end up editing that out.
Okay.
So I'm not a big Belichick fan. I was a Colts fan, so I was Peyton Manning and, you know, the Colts whole team. I watched Peyton Manning as a rookie. I was a season ticket holder. So for darn near 20 years, I got to watch us, you know, other than Peyton. You know, Peyton was able to do it twice, once with the Colts and once with Denver Broncos, once with the Denver Broncos at the end of his career. I ended up having to take a back seat many a moon to Brady and Belichick and them going to the Super Bowl while we were put out of the dance. So
yeah,
I will praise the man, because he's proven to be the best, especially in the world of free agency.
Yeah, absolutely. But the good thing is that you have a pretty good backup plan, or I should say next plan, and the guy named Andrew Luck. So he's pretty good, and I'm glad he came back as well. So you should have him for the next couple of years doing some great things.
Yep, looks like it. I know this is a business conversation talking about football, but I figured, you know, metaphors work.
Well, those metaphors work for me. I'm a sports junkie, so I absolutely love that. So now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. We're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So Rob, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Chief Executive Officer is the leader. He is the true visionary, and I have to be fair, I take that back. She or he is the true visionary of any organization. You know, the CEO is the developer. He or she is the visionary. He or she is the governance that occurs within the organization. The CEO is responsible for the health and welfare financially and operationally of that organization. So in its simplest terms, a good CEO does those things well. A great CEO inspires others to do those things well.
Absolutely. No, that's definitely a great reminder. And, you know, I appreciate you for taking some time out. What I wanted to do was pass you the mic just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know, and then how best they can find out about all the awesome things that you're doing.
My greatest hope, we do a discovery process, and that's not binding people to consulting, but I have basically rolled out a discovery process that is a 2 to 5 day event, depending on the size and scope of the company, that we do between $1,200 and $2,400 on behalf of our clients. So it's an amazing investment. And that's my selfish plug about Cogent Analytics, www.cogentanalytics.com. If you go to our website, if you are interested in having somebody take an honest look at your business, third-party review, taking a look at all of the facets of your business, and you need some strategic guidance, you need some operational guidance, maybe your business is not performing to the level that you're looking for or hoping for, more importantly, know that it can perform at, I would say please send us a little note through www.cogentanalytics.com, and we will be more than happy to give you a ring. Now, one thing that I have said on each one of these podcasts is that the challenge of business ownership is much greater than most people. You know, people say, hey, you get to work for yourself. That's not true. You get to work for the government, you get to work for the bank, you get to work for your people, you get to work for And then along the way, you get the joy out of owning the business. But remember, you got a bunch of partners outside of, hey, I get up to and dictate my own time every day. The joy of business is supposed to be an opportunity to create wealth for yourself, your family, pay for college educations, fund your retirement, and be able to make a big impact in your community. To do that, you have to follow the principles of business. It is a science called business. And if you're listening to this today and you don't have a business degree, that's okay. Most people that have a business degree go to work after they go to college, and then they figure out how business really works. So don't knock on yourself because you don't have a business degree. And if you have a business degree, don't knock on yourself because you don't know everything that's supposed to be happening in your business. I would say you live it every day from within your forest. You need good counsel, whether it's Cogent Analytics or another business professional that you trust, to pull you above the forest from time to time and take a look at your business as it stands today. Because that one event that gives you the opportunity to look at what you've built, most often when you're living in the forest, you're more working in it than on it, which goes to the Emyth story that you told at the very beginning of our discussion. That's something I've embraced for 30 years. And I would tell you that we now, for all intents and purposes, Cogent Analytics makes a living pulling people above their forest. And it's a profound event for anybody, whether Cogent Analytics or not. I don't want this to just be a shameless plug. There are a lot of professionals in the world today that can help you get above your forest and help you run a better business. Seek out that counsel and participate in good faith and good spirit.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Rob. I appreciate that. I appreciate you for, pulling us out of our forest a little bit today. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Gresh, I greatly appreciate having me on your show today and taking me through this journey with you. So thank you very kindly.
No problem. I'll cut it off here.